Who are the BMFs in every division? Well, today, guys, we're going to be working that out. I've got who I think deserves the BMF spot in every single weight class all around this screen. We're going to drag and drop them into where I think they belong on this list. So without further ado, let's get into this. Obviously, to be the BMF, you have to, have good fights. You have to basically be a cool character, an interesting character that fans like. You have to be kind of cool in some ways. I don't really need to explain what a BMF is. You just kind of know what it is. It has a very broad term, but we all know a BMF UFC fighter when we see one. I'm in the MMA Tizzer. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like. I wasn't actually going to do this video today. I was going to do it tomorrow, but it's too good of a video for the idea to get stolen. So I'm doing it now. And without further ado, let's get right into this video. Subscribe. Starting off with flyweight. The BMF of flyweight. No questions about it. It's Alexandre Pantoja. And some of you might say Brandon Moreno. It's not Brandon Moreno, it's Alexandre. And the reason being is because this guy's just down to sit in the pocket and trade, okay? He's one of the OG UFC fighters. When you think of the original UFC, the old school UFC 10 years ago, those guys that had no skill, they just sat in the pocket and traded. It's like him, but this guy's better because he's actually got skill. This guy's got legit, he's good, he's got legit hands. And most importantly, he's got good grappling, very good jiu-jitsu. He'll take your back and sub you in the first round. This guy was submitting top 5 flyweights in the first round by rear naked choke. He was backpacking them in a minute flat. Do you know how BMF that is? Imagine that. A guy's trained, 2-3 months to fight you, and you sub him in about a minute. And that was meant to be the fight to give him the title shot. So, that's just major BMF energy from Pantoja. He just beat Moreno, who's a crybaby, to be honest. And he just showed him levels. And he definitely won that fight. So anyone that says he didn't is completely wrong. Sorry, guys. And just major BMF energy. And his post-fight speech was really cool. He called out his dad. He basically addressed the entirety of everyone he's ever seen in his life. So, fair enough. You won the belt. You can do whatever you want. Who cares? Alexandre Pantoja is the 125 BMF. We move on. 135 bantamweight. It's Corey Sandhagen. Now, I was tempted to put Peter Yan, but Peter Yan has had a fall off, so he ain't as BMF anymore. You know what I mean? He's on a 3-fight losing streak now. So you can't really be a BMF when you're on a 3-fight losing streak unless you're Jorge Masvidal. And I just can't put a BMF as someone that's lost to Merab Dvalishvili because you're just a meme at that point. And you just couldn't stop a takedown. So we're going for Corey Sandhagen. And the reason being, not only does this guy has legit 10 out of 10 S tier highlight reel knockouts, a lot of them. Also, he's retired someone. So that definitely makes him a BMF because he can just say, hey, listen, I basically ended the career of a UFC fight. Frankie Edgar, after me, he was basically an empty shell of a fighter. And not only that, but this guy's got an insane chin, which gives off major BMF energy. And he's just a dog. And also, he took the Umar fight, right? Taking the Umar fight is such a ballsy move because, let's be honest, no other bantamweight wanted the Umar smoke. No one wanted to risk their position in the bantamweight queue to potentially get destroyed by someone who was just in the rankings and to never be heard of again, having to fight their way through the very stacked bantamweight division. And he took the fight, even though he was maybe 1 fight off a title shot, maybe 1 or 2 fights off a title shot. And someone said, why? And he said, listen, if you ain't going to beat everyone in the division, you don't deserve to be champion. So I'm taking the fight. And guess what? Umar pulled out. He got scared of the BMF Sandhagen. He was just too much for him. And then that is why Corey Sandhagen is the 135 BMF. This guy doesn't care. He'll put it all on the line. Also, every single fight he's in is good. His scrap with Peter Yan was insane. He's beaten Song Yadong. Song Yadong's a really good boxer. So to beat Song Yadong, you have to be a BMF on the feet. And also, he exposed the fraud train that is Marlon Vera. People kept on saying Marlon Vera was good. I knew Corey Sandhagen was going to smoke him by a 5-0 decision win. And guess what? He did. He just shot takedowns because we all know that Marlon Vera has no ground game. Okay, throwing elbows on bottom ain't going to do anything against Corey Sandhagen because he ain't going to get knocked out by them. So Corey Sandhagen, BMF. We move on. Featherweight. Now, I was debating Ilya Topuria, but I've got a better one. It's Alexander Volkanovski. Without question, this guy is one of the biggest BMFs in the entire UFC's history, okay? So not only was this guy the most dominant featherweight champion in probably history, maybe except Jose Aldo back in the day, but not only that, but this guy seemingly improves with age, so he's defying physics, which is another BMF activity, to defy physics. Secondly, this guy moved up a weight class when he's already a midget. This guy's like 5'7", so he ain't even that big for a featherweight. He moved up. He fought the number one pound for pound lightweight, and in my opinion, the best lightweight of all time, Islam Makhachev, who I think would beat any other lightweight ever, including Khabib, by the way, because he's got way better stand-up and I think his grappling's about the same. And he basically nearly beat him. So, you'll say what you want. The fight was 3-2. It can be scored both ways. On damage, technically, Volk won the round where he gave his back to Islam the entire time, but the judges gave it to Islam because he had his back. The judging makes no sense in UFC, but, he nearly beat Islam, whatever you say. And that is, to nearly beat the best lightweight of all time, the number one pound for pound fighter, when you're literally like 25 pounds lighter than him on fight day. Major BMF energy. Nothing more BMF than that. And then not only that, this guy lost, and some people are like, oh my god, Volk might fall off now. He fought Yair Rodriguez, and some people are saying, Yair's going to get an upset. I can feel it coming. I can feel that he's going to KO Volk. And he basically smoked him. And he nearly finished Yair in the feet. Then he shot an amazing takedown and showed that he's actually become part Dagestani, took him down and finished him on the ground to show that, this guy is legit. He's learned from Islam, that training camps have rubbed off well on him, and he is now basically nearly an S-tier grappler in his own right. So Volk is the featherweight BMF without question. We move on. Lightweight. Now, listen, Justin Gaethje is the BMF in lightweight, so we're excluding him because that's the obvious pick, and we don't do obvious picks around here. We do unique picks. It's Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is the BMF in lightweight, and the reason being is because this guy is probably the only guy to ever say, I get dropped on average in championship fights about 3 times, 2 times, and I win. How does that make any sense? We have no idea. This guy legit always gets dropped more than his opponent, and yet always wins in championship fights. Unless your name is Islam Makhachev, then he lost to you in pretty dominant fashion. However, excluding the loss, let's look at the Poirier, the Gaethje fight, who we now know Gaethje is a very legit win. I didn't really realise he was as good as he thought. I thought he was a bit overrated. I was wrong. And he just smoked both of those guys after a tough first round. He got dropped by Gaethje twice. Or maybe once, because I don't know if he really got dropped the second time. He got dropped by Poirier twice. This guy comes back against Poirier, has a good second round, and then finishes him in the third, showing Poirier levels and exposing that he's a terrible grappler and a fake black jiu-jitsu belt, BJJ belt, sorry. And also knocks out the striker Justin Gaethje in the first round, and then subs him basically. He basically knocks him out. Justin had no idea where he was for a split second, gets on top of him. Justin sprawls, nearly gets a sprawl, gets his back taken, gets subbed. And that is why Charles Oliveira is the BMF, because who else does that, This guy's knocking out strikers when he's the BJJ guy in his division. He's getting dropped, then winning fights. Not many people get dropped and win, you know what I mean? If you're getting dropped, you're usually just about to get finished in the UFC. But everyone's scared of Charles Oliveira on the ground, so they never even follow him to the ground unless it's Islam Makhachev. And just major BMF energy. This guy's learned English. Major BMF vibes there. He surprised everyone after he beat Dariush. People were saying Dariush was going to beat Oliveira. Lucas Tracy was saying it. I was saying it. A lot of MMA YouTubers were saying it. Guess what? Gets taken down off a failed throw. Gets back up. Head kicks him. First round finish. Again, derails another hype train. The guy that some people were saying was going to beat Islam derails him. He's never seen the belt in his life. And Oliveira prevented that. So major BMF energy from Oliveira. I'm a big fan, but he will lose to Islam probably, unfortunately. We move on. Welterweight, I've got 2 nominations, okay? I couldn't decide, so I've got 2. They share the joint position. Shavkat Rakhmonov and Kevin Holland. Now, the reason being, we'll start with Shavkat. Shavkat is down for a war, but he's actually really good. Now, is Shavkat going to be the champion? Not so sure. I don't know if he's as good as some people think he is, But I will give him credit. This guy's got all finishes, which is major BMF energy, because no one likes decisions if you're a BMF, you know what I mean? You're the baddest, you know what I mean? You're not the decision. You're not Bilal Muhammad, you know what I mean? So there's that. Also, mega good chin. So, we rate that. And also, he beat Geoff Neal, who in his own right is a BMF. So to beat him, huge credit. He's a legit tough guy who will expose hype trains. And he basically used his chin to get through that. Sub Geoff Neal with a standing guillotine. No, standing rear naked choke, sorry, not a guillotine. And that is just major BMF energy in itself, because you rarely see that. You maybe see it in women's flyweight and stuff like that, but you never really see it in men's fighting. And huge credit to Shavkat. That was major BMF energy. And he's now, well, he was going to be fighting Kevin Gastelum, but he pulled out, so I don't know what's going to happen now. And moving on to Kevin Holland. This guy was getting smoked at middleweight. He moves down and then he starts knocking out welterweight. So fair play to him. Major BMF vibes from that. Also, this guy's talking in the cage. He's one of only about 3 guys that actually do that. So that's funny. This guy's funny. That adds to it. And he's just basically got the pub brawler style, This guy, he's terrible on the ground, but he's class on stand-up. So that makes him a BMF kind of, because this guy legit on the ground. If he's on bottom, I know he's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he ain't gonna hit up here, you know what I mean? He might throw a few elbows and stuff, and he's knocked out Jacare Souza off his back. That's major BMF energy, because I'm pretty sure that's only happened about 3 times in the UFC. So for that to happen, you definitely deserve a place on this list. Like I said, he talks to his opponents in the cage, and just all around funny guy on the commentary. He'll literally fight anyone. He fought Wonder Boy. Honestly, this guy fights anyone, so I can't give it to him enough. He fought Khamzat Chimaev when everyone else was scared of him on 1 day's notice. So, that is just major BMF vibes. We move on, middleweight. Now, I was going to put Khamzat Chimaev, but we're putting Dricus. And the reason being is because Khamzat Chimaev hasn't fought in nearly 2 years, or a year and a half, okay? And when Khamzat actually shows up to fight Paulo Costa, he will be the middleweight BMF. However, he hasn't shown up yet because the fight hasn't happened, and I doubt he will, but we'll see. So when he shows up, / if he shows up, he will be the BMF in middleweight. But for now, it's Dricus du Plessis. And the reason being is because everyone was writing Dricus off. They were calling him trash. They were saying he has no stand-up. They were saying he's got terrible cardio. They were saying his chin ain't even that good. And this guy, literally, even when he had no cardio because he couldn't even breathe through his nose, he beat people. That just shows you how bad some middleweights are, that a guy who literally can't breathe through his nose was knocking you out in the later rounds when you're both gassed. So this guy would just out cardio people who actually had a functional nose and still win. So that's just major BMF energy in itself. Furthermore, he basically head and arm through Robert Whittaker, which is a move reserved for basically people that have never wrestled in their lives. So to do that to another trained fighter, and also a former UFC champion, might I add, that's major BMF energy. Absolutely embarrassed Robert Whittaker there, who's a bit overrated, if I may say so myself. And furthermore, this guy's got power. He's knocked out a lot of people. And even if he loses a round, he'll come back and win it the next, just like Oliveira, and that's just major BMF vibes in itself. So yeah, you've got to give him that. And he's a BMF. He might be fighting for the belt soon. And he's getting better as his career goes on, so we really got to give it to him there. He'll fight anyone, he's a dog. And he's not scared of an absolute war. He's had a few wars. And he wins them all. He wins all the wars. He's got a good chin. His cardio is better than ever. And even when he had bad cardio, he was out cardioing guys who had functioning noses, like I said. So without question, Dricus du Plessis for now until Khamzat fights and actually wins a fight. Obviously, if he loses, he ain't the BMF. Dricus du Plessis is the middleweight BMF. And I think that's fair. So yeah, we move on. Well done, Dricus. We move on to light heavyweight. Now, he's only been here for one fight, but he's fought there, so I'm counting him. It's Alex Pereira. Now, the reason being is because this guy hates Adesanya so much, or has such a rivalry with him. He literally went up to light heavyweight to beat the guy that Adesanya couldn't beat just to prove a point, okay? Now, that is some serious rivalry right there. And the thing is, he actually won. If he got knocked out by Jan, or he lost to him, or got subbed by him, different story, but he won. So he can brag as much as he won. He beat the guy that Adesanya lost to at light heavyweight. And it looks like he might be becoming light heavyweight champ, because let me tell you, he's knocking out Yuri, okay? Yuri ain't doing it. If Jan can do it, he's going to catch Yuri, because Yuri's stand-up's really, really weird. And he's not going to be able to dodge Pereira's shots. So, this guy, need I say more? This guy never smiles, major BMF energy, doesn't speak English, which, it kind of gives off like some I don't care of Terminator vibes. This guy literally, he's got mad memes on the internet, just being the scariest guy ever, because he doesn't smile and he stares people down. He's knocked out Israel Adesanya, and that's BMF energy in itself, because that guy is really hard to beat, never mind knockout. He'd never been knocked out in the UFC before Alex Pereira fought him. And he was actually beating Adesanya in the second fight until he got KO'd. So, this guy's legit. He's knocked out a lot of people. He knocked out Sean Strickland. He got a flying knee in his UFC debut. That's major BMF energy. And he's moved up and fought one of the scariest light heavyweights, Polish power. And he took his shots like a champ, He took some big shots from Jan Blachowicz, didn't get KO'd. Luke Rockhold cannot say the same. He got flatlined by Jan Blachowicz. A few people have got flatlined by Jan Blachowicz. And also, Jan Blachowicz was saying he was going to strike with Pereira, and he became a wrestler, okay? So if that doesn't say fear of Alex Pereira, I don't know what does, because he shot okay, before you say Jan Blachowicz ain't scared of Pereira, tell me why he shot within 4 seconds of the first round. Yes, I know he thinks he had the grappling advantage over Pereira, but he shot within 4 seconds. He didn't even want to test the stand-up. He saw him staring at him from across the cage, and he thought, nah, I ain't standing. This guy's chinning me. If I fight him, I'm shooting. And he just dove into a single leg. Literally, I thought I was watching Khabib McGregor. But crazy. BMF Alex, no questions about it. Final one on the list, heavyweight. It's Sergey Pavlovich. Was there any doubt about this? Some of you are going to say John Jones, but it's not John Jones, okay? It's Sergey. The reason being, this guy is on as far as I'm aware, it's either 6 or a 5 fight knockout winning streak. And I'm pretty sure they're all in the first 2 rounds. They may all be first round KOs. But yeah, I think they're all first round KOs. But my point is, he set the record at 5 or 4. I can't remember which one it is. And then he extended his own record when he knocked out Curtis Blades. So that's major BMF energy. He set a record for most knockouts in a row. Then he broke his own record by extending it. This guy's got a solid chin. Curtis Blades, one of the best wrestlers in the heavyweight division, shot in. Granted, it was a bad takedown. This guy literally grabbed him and threw him backwards. No technique required. He just threw him off him like it was some pub brawl, and he was like, and then proceeded to absolutely annihilate Curtis Blades on the feet. This guy has only got 1 loss, and it was his debut, and it was ages ago, so we're not counting that. Who cares? We ignore that loss. And just major BMF vibes from Sergey Pavlovich. He's got mad power. He is the strongest puncher in heavyweight at the moment. The only person more powerful than Sergey Pavlovich in heavyweight history is Ngannou, and Ngannou isn't in the UFC anymore. And this guy's got better accuracy than Ngannou. He's actually better boxer than Ngannou. However, he just doesn't have as good power. I'd say he has a tiny little bit less power, but he's more crisp than Ngannou. And also, this guy's Instagram page literally makes him a BMF in itself, because it's so funny and hilarious, because I understand nothing on it, and it's just funnier that way. Also, this guy, I don't know if I can say this without getting demonetized, but here we go. He hit the slots in Vegas the day he was fighting Curtis Blades. He lost all his money. He proceeds to go and knock out Curtis Blades and get all that money back. And then he told the media about it. So major BMF energy from Sergey Pavlovich. There isn't anything more to say than other than this guy is the heavyweight BMF. And that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this BMF video. Obviously, it's a bit more of a comedic one, so don't get triggered in the comments. Leave a comment on who else should be added to this list, because obviously there's a lot of BMFs in the UFC. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new here. I do content like this every single day. Join my members. You're not going to want to miss any of the bonus videos on there. Seriously, they're really good. And they're longer, and you just get to see more UFC content, so why wouldn't you join? And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.